Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Awesemo.com Live Before Lock Show, where we'll be taking you through the 9-game MLB slate today. Lots of terrible pitching, lots of good hitting. I'm Chris Spags, joined by my good pal, the baseball savant himself, Mr. Jake Hari. Jake, how's your day going?
It's going well. Just studying for the slate and looking at over tomorrow's. So got the night shift recorded and all that for tomorrow, so I'm feeling good. I'm just ready to hopefully win some money tonight.
And Jake is living up to the baseball savant moniker, which he got for, of course, the naming of his website, baseballsavant.mlb.com.
Yeah.
But Jake is on quite the home run streak, including one that we are counting from last night, even though the fantasy gods and the baseball gods will not count it. The game technically never occurred. Jake did pick a home run for is that the fourth straight day for you?
I think so. Yeah, I've been rolling since last Friday.
Yeah. So 4 in a row for Jake. But yeah, Jake is riding on this high horse, even though it did not help our DFS lineups to have Andrew Benintendi or David Price looking great in 2 innings or an inning and a half. But no, just 1 inning. But yeah, we will have to survive and hopefully get no rainouts today. Let's talk weather up front, though. No weather concerns today, right?
I don't think so. I think we're all good with the weather. There's nothing that I've seen, at least. So, yeah, I think we're all good.
Okay, so yeah, there we go. That's finally for everybody who's riding high when they had their Mookie Betts and Benintendi and Martinez stacks, and then only to see them end up with zeros. Nothing to worry about today. We're going in with a nice, clean slate and no weather issues. Also, if you're a premium member of Awesemo.com, our ownership did just, in fact, update. So go check that out, see the latest things. And also, if you're a premium member, Awesemo has his perfect pitcher percentage article up where he breaks down the likelihood of each pitcher being the top guy on the slate, some advice on how to pivot around some of the people who are going to be very highly owned today. So please go check that out as well. Let's talk about pitching since it's a perfect pitcher day. Jake, where are you going for your guys up front?
Yeah, so Cahill we talked about this morning. I'm still there. I don't expect him to have a lot of ownership. I know I'm going to be over the field. I mean, him, I like Tommy Milone a little bit. At first we thought he was going to be super chalky this morning when the news came out, and then he's kind of gone down in our projections. I like Wade Miley from the Spotlight Pitchers as well. Same thing applies that I wrote there. And then I'm lower than the field on Sonny Gray. So I wrote him up this morning or last night, and I thought Strasburg was going to be on the slate, but I think Gray is going to be probably the most popular pitcher on the slate, and that's not something I'm super interested in. I don't feel great about Gray, even though I think he's probably the safest, but yeah, I mean, I'd rather go with Cahill, who I think has really good upside if he's missing bats.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch your guys' morning stream, so I'm glad you're in on Cahill because he missed bats really well in his last outing. He's obviously hopefully recovered from his Achilles injury, and the Rangers do strike out a lot, and I think a lot of people are pivoting away from him. Look, he shouldn't be 9,900. I think we could all probably agree there. But on this slate, I think he's a perfectly fine pivot away from a guy like Sonny Gray, who I don't know that I want to stack against Sonny Gray, but I don't think he's a particularly good pitcher, and I'm not dying to have him if 40% of the field is going to have him tonight.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm at too. So it's just a ownership thing. I think on a different slate, I would have a lot more interest in Gray. In a cash game, I would probably play Gray, even though I don't play cash, so I can't. I mean, I don't know for sure since I'm not doing it. But yeah, for tournaments, I think there are pitchers that have similar or higher upside than him, and I don't want to play the highest owned pitchers tonight, that's for sure. There's so many good hitters that I just want to be different, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, we had Cahill also as being very lowly owned, under 5%. That hasn't changed yet today. So you're getting what's in theoretically, at least according to DraftKings, and I presume FanDuel as well, the highest priced and best pitcher on the slate for very low ownership. I think that's a pretty good play if people are going to be afraid of him and be too worried about Texas weather and all that. What other pitchers are jumping out to you? I know our boy Josh Engelman, the shopster himself, had Nick Hingham as his quick hit pick. Kingham has one of the best whips against on the slate, just giving up 1.1 walks and hits per innings pitched, going against the Mets, who are not a great team. But who else for you would you go to, and who do you have the most volume of tonight?
Pivot off of Gray?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cahill. So it's Cahill for me. I have some Kingham. I'm probably a little under the field on Kingham just because I'm so much higher on Cahill than I think the field is going to be. But really, it's just like a smattering of everyone that I'm looking at. Does Chris sound bad for you guys too? I think we have a subpar connection. It sounds.
Oh no, that's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was fine. I have the same microphone setup I have every day, so
I figured. I think it's. Yeah, I think it's just Skype. Let's see if we can. I closed a bunch of tabs, just to try to see if we can get this connection a little bit better. It should come back here pretty soon, but
well.
Anyways, yeah. So Cahill, Malone, and then after that, everyone's just kind of spread around besides Miley.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Hopefully this gets better. If not, sorry guys, just deal with me sounding like a robot or whatever it may be. We'll try to work through. Yeah, I think Cahill still looks like the best pivot off of Gray. I didn't go to Miley. I feel like you have a love-hate relationship with Miley, maybe an abusive relationship where he keeps luring you back in. I didn't feel the need to go there tonight, but you're having Wade as one of your top plays?
Yeah, I mean, he's just somewhat safe, I think, in that park. And he's just, like, I've seen him be good recently. And not saying he's going to miss a ton of bats, but this Giants lineup isn't all that scary. So it's just, I'm targeting a good park, a pitcher that can create ground balls. And, yeah, he's super cheap and lets me get in whichever bats I want, pretty much.
Some people are asking about Ranger Suarez, who has unequivocally has the coolest name on the slate, perhaps other than Nick Martini. That's a tough one to top. What do we know about Ranger Suarez, who is a top prospect, a guy who was rumored to be in trades for Machado for Philly, so sort of the key piece of that. What are you thinking about him tonight? Not a great total, not a great park for him to be making his debut, but any Ranger Suarez for you, and if so, or just how do you feel about him in general?
Very minimal. His swinging strike numbers are kind of down. They're nothing special, at least that I saw in AAA. So that's worrisome. And then just a bad park. So I don't know what we have him as being owned at. I guess I could check that right now. So we've got him basically unowned. So I guess just by having a very little bit of him, I'm over the field, but not someone that I'm heavy on, like putting in 40% of my lineups or something like that, like I am with Cahill and Malone.
Yeah, his minor league numbers are pretty good, but and we have seen again a couple of young pitchers this week have great nights. It's not an ideal setup for him, so I think your approach is right. Have a little bit in there if you think he's got potential, and then maybe he'll outperform the field. I think that's the hope. What about Anibal Sanchez? He's another guy who I don't know how much ownership we have projected for. I presume an okay amount, but how do you feel about him tonight?
Not on Anibal. I ended up with 2% Anibal, and that might even become lower if I crunch again before the show's over. But I'm trying to make our connection better, so we'll see if I can even have a chance to do that. But yeah, very, very, very little. I think it's a pretty bad spot for Anibal. You've got Machado in there. Steals could be an issue. And then all this lefty power. Muncy, Peterson, Grandal, Bellinger. Taylor's good at hitting righties. So is Kemp. I mean, it's just too tough of a matchup for me to want to be playing any substantial amount of Anibal.
Yeah, and also greatest hitter in the world, Max Muncy. Obviously a very good player versus righties. And I think a lot of home run power as well. And, I would assume that a little bit of Atlanta weather, probably not a bad thing either for the ball flying more. So, yeah, I'm with you there. Sanchez is not a guy I have any of tonight. I can get why you want to go there and chase some strikeouts, but I don't see it for them in this particular spot. How about stacks? What are you thinking in terms of stacks tonight, in terms of the guys you have the most of?
Yeah, so surprise, surprise, I like the A's. They're my highest owned stack. And then Boston against my boy Kyle Gibson. Just too tough of a spot for Gibson here. similar to Anibal Sanchez. Who else? I like Atlanta a little bit against Rich Hill. I think that's a pretty good leverage spot. Rich Hill is projected to be one of the more popular pitchers on the slate. And I like using Albies and Acuna and Kurt Suzuki against him. So, and that's the case, I don't mind using Freeman or Markakis lefty-lefty, even though Hill is good against lefties. And he's good overall, but I just think it's a pretty good leverage spot on a bad pitching slate. I have some Texas to leverage off of Cahill because I think it's going to go one of two ways. I think he's either going to be missing bats, getting strikeouts, and going pretty deep, or he's just going to get blasted and start giving up steals and hard contact and all that. So I'm either full stacking Texas or just completely off them lineup by lineup. I like the Nats against Straley, even though there's no Daniel Murphy and Rendon. I think that's going to lower their total ownership, which I'm perfectly fine with. I still love Soto, Eaton, and Harper. The bottom of that lineup doesn't look that great, but I think it's still usable. So I'm well over the field on the Nats. And then the Reds against Suarez.
Yeah, I think for me, the probably the most popular stack I have, I think, is Oakland. I bet obviously that a lot of people are going to have Oakland tonight. So where I would try to differentiate is some of the lesser stacks. I think Philly's also an interesting one, and I mentioned this in the email newsletter today in the daily game plan. So sign up for a free or premium account on Awesemo.com if you want that. My little blurb I had to write up. Like Tyler Mahle's been getting hit pretty hard in general lately. He got rocked his last couple outings, and I don't know, him versus lefties in particular, I think is really good. But I think him versus like 1 through 4, and then Nick Williams would be what I would go with. I think it's an interesting spot for the Phillies going into a hitter's park with some guy I know have some real power there, and I think they're getting pretty overlooked on this slate. The Yankees, to me, I feel like I heard more talk about them earlier in the day, and I feel like it's sort of subsided as people have kind of settled in on other stacks, but they also look really good against Junis. Junis has been particularly bad versus lefties, but he's equally bad versus everyone. Gives up a lot of home runs, a lot of hard contact as well. So I think that Yankees are a spot which might be a little underappreciated tonight. We talked about the Dodgers. I think they're interesting as well. And I think for Suarez, if you're playing any Rangers, Suarez, this site is a cool name. It probably makes sense to do a couple of Cincinnati stacks as well, because it's very possible he gets rocked tonight. And Eugenio Suarez keeps his home run streak up. Another Jake home run alum. Just that middle of the order in particular, I think looks really good for Cincinnati versus Suarez if he does have a bad day. So just some stacks maybe to consider. So you can get a little different there. Sup guys, let's win some money tonight. Do you like Tampa Bay, or do you still like Tampa Bay?
Yeah. They were actually next after Washington, or after Cincinnati for me. So like Tampa Bay against Cobb. I like the full stack, especially Bowers. Got some Joey Wendell, G-Man Choi. You can't play him and Cron on DK, which kind of sucks. But Kiermaier off the top, good hitter's park, wind blowing out against what I think is a pretty bad pitcher. So yeah, I still am on Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I would have been more into Tampa Bay if I could play Michael Perez. Perez has been raking in the minor leagues, and I was very into him getting the matchup versus Cobb, who's he's pretty equally bad versus lefties and righties. I thought he was an interesting spot. Unfortunately, he's not available on DK. I presume also not available on FanDuel. But I'm with you. I'm glad you mentioned Ji-Man Choi. Not a guy I'm playing a lot of tonight, but I'm just glad to hear him. I just want him to do well and land. Yeah, he's part of my crew of not hitting home runs. What's the ownership on Sanchez on DraftKings? Trying to make a contrarian line. You know where you can find that answer. It's on Awesemo.com if you're a premium member, Host Golden. But it's under 20%.
Yeah.
That's as much as you're getting.
Let's see. Someone asked, or a couple people asked about the night shift being back on YouTube. Yeah, we're going to start posting it on YouTube again. Go to iTunes and check that out. We're trying to build our iTunes page. But yeah, it will be on YouTube if that's easier for you. If you can't access iTunes, whatever. It'll be posted there. So, yeah, we're going to try to start doing that every night.
Oh, also one thing to point out while we're talking premium. Actually, let's do a couple housekeeping things real fast.
Sure.
For everybody who submitted for the social media manager / community manager position, thank you guys for emailing in. I haven't replied to anybody yet because, frankly, there's been a few too many, and I'm just waiting until we get them all in before we deal with next steps and all that. But if you want to submit for that, we're looking for somebody to kind of handle our Twitter / Instagram / Facebook, whatever social media presence, and then also kind of general community manager stuff. If you want to be a part of that and join a growing DFS team, email me, chris@osmo.com. Email me a really strong cover letter, really good resume, because these are probably just going to our COO who shipped away. So make yourself look good, make yourself look important and smart. Email that in. Also, make sure if you are a person who has won money because of Osmo.com, because of these live streams or because of the premium membership, and you want to be part of a little ad thing that we're doing to try to get new members in, reach out to, I guess, same thing, just email chris@osmo.com. We're looking for guys who will be willing to do like a short little testimonial video, nothing too crazy, but hey, a good way for you to get your name out there, have people celebrate your victories. So email in chris@osmo.com, CHRIS@AWESEMO.com. Name's right there in the video. But go join us. Aaron Borchardt, does it pay? Yes, but it probably doesn't pay if you're a person who yells in caps lock. It's probably not a job you're going to get. It's not the social media managing we're looking for. But yeah, so both those things. You want to give us a testimonial, or you want to be a social media manager, email chris@osmo.com, and we'll get on that. Thank you. Let's see. Any other things that are jumping out? Actually, no, let's hold off home runs for 10 more minutes, because I feel like people have gotten used to the 3:30 spot. Again, Jake is on a hot streak, so we are doing home run picks, and Jake is going to get another one right. I think that's 100% guarantee.
100%. Yep, 100%.
100%. What other stacks do you feel like, or is there any guys as part of a stack that you feel like are maybe not or being overlooked, or maybe not, a 1 through 5 guy who jumps out the page to you?
I think Bowers is a really awesome play. But I mentioned him in the Tampa stack. Just kind of scrolling through, I love Eugenio Suarez again. That's no surprise. I think he should be higher owned than what we have him right now. I think it's like around 15%. I think he should be one of the higher owned players in the slate. 5,100 doesn't really matter tonight if you're not paying up for both pitcher spots, which I doubt the majority of people will be doing. If you're looking to leverage Tommy Milone, I like Brian Anderson for 4K. Just mashes lefties. Yeah, you know the deal with Brian Anderson. He's a good little player.
That top 3.
Yeah, top 3
looks good.
Yeah, yep. I got a bunch of those top 3 mini stacks in my non-Tommy Milone lineups, of which I have a lot of Tommy Milone lineups. The Dodgers, I think, are going under-owned. Just all of the power lefties. And then I like some of the Brewers lefties. I know it's a terrible park and stuff, but these guys have big power. Yelich, Shaw, Thames, Aguilar obviously has power to get it out anywhere. So I think the Brewers as like a very, very low-owned stack could pay off. Or even mini stack.
And a ton of hard contact from Derek Rodriguez versus lefties. I saw, I think DK Live touted him pretty hard today, saying oh, can you fade him? Yeah, you could fade Derek Rodriguez. I'm pretty confident in that. But also the lefties in particular, if you are going to fade Derek Rodriguez, like Jake mentioned, he just gets hit hard, 47.2% hard contact given up to lefties, and it hasn't really shown yet in his performance. It's actually limited home runs pretty well, but high fly ball percentage, high hard contact percentage to lefties. Not much better versus righties. If you want to go Contreras stack in a pitcher's park, I think Milwaukee is a pretty good one to get. Let's see. Let's talk more about the Dodgers. Matt won play. I have a feeling Dodgers Atlanta is going to go berserk. Fantasy Football Advisor, our boy, won this week. Congratulations to him again. He's asked for more Dodgers thoughts. I guess the question is, how much do you like the Dodgers, Jake?
I will tell you right now, so I can put a numerical value, or at least a ranking. So I've got the Dodgers. Where are they at? I've got the Dodgers right behind Oakland, Washington, and Boston. So I've got the Dodgers right in that next tier, and they're not being owned like that. At least we don't have them being owned like that. So I think I'm pretty high on them. I have a lot of double-digit ownership for almost everyone in the top 7 for the Dodgers. So yeah, I love them. I know Anibal's been good, but power against Anibal has always been a good thing, and he may be better now, but this is a spot where I think he could get blown up.
Yeah, and the Dodgers, I think, have one of the best isolated power rates versus a righty as well on the slate. So if you are going to stack them up, there's a pretty logical reason to do it. We talked about Sonny Gray and maybe not loving him that much. Do you not love him so much that you're going with any Royal stacks or mini stacks?
Royal stacks. I have some just to leverage, more like mini stacks than anything. Actually, I don't have any 5-mans of Kansas City. So just like 3 and 4-mans. Very little. I'd like to leverage off of them. I have Moustakas and Duda and Perez. But then besides those guys, it's really tough to get a full stack in.
Yeah, I agree there. I think a mini stack is probably the only approach there, which again is part of the reason why Sonny Gray is probably one of the safer pitchers on the slate. But yeah, I agree. There's probably not a ton to love there, but maybe a little bit. Who would you guys say are the worst 5-man stacks today? I guess which guys would you not stack at all? Which teams rather would you not stack at all, or are you fading entirely?
I don't know. Here, let's see. Am I fading anyone entirely? So the team I'd probably have the least exposure to is Kansas City and Baltimore. And honestly, it should be Kansas City. Oh, and San Francisco against Miley. They're all tied at very low ownership, just mini stacks for those teams. I just didn't end up on those guys. I wanted to really focus on the top 5 or 6 that I love, and then sprinkle in the rest with stacks that I may not love, but just like.
Yeah, I didn't stack. I definitely didn't even really look at San Francisco. Like I don't love Wade Miley too much, but I just don't think San Francisco is going to be in that great of a spot. I think they have a couple guys who might be useful. I don't know. A worst stack though is kind of a tough one to pinpoint. Maybe the Mets, but even then the Mets, I feel like. Actually, so we didn't talk about Nick Kingham at all, but he was a quick hit pick. How do you feel about Kingham tonight?
I mean, I think Kingham is fine. I just 9,400. I think he's getting steam around the industry, and it's just such a logical pivot for me to go to Cahill at the ownership we have him at. So I have some Kingham, but a ton more Cahill.
Yeah, Kingham will get eaten up by lefties. He gives up 2.3 home runs to lefties per 9 innings. And there are some powerful lefties on that side. Obviously, with Conforto, Nimmo, Jeff McNeil really raking in probably like one at bat or something like that. So I don't know. There's some lefty bats to worry about with Kingham, I think, there. I could see playing him, but I would rather probably stack some Mets or mini stack some Mets against him. Any Jacob Junis for you tonight? Any super contrarian Junis?
Let me see here. All right, my computer's moving really slow, so try not to crash anything here. Yes. Oh, wow. More than I thought. 8% Junis? I'm probably going to take that down. I don't know. I mean, since I have very little Yankees bats, I actually took them off of my main stacks. Only mini stacks with Yankees bats, so I'm hoping just a couple of them go off, and then I have lineups with just those guys. So that's why I'm using some Junis. I think it's more likely that Junis gets completely rocked. But when you're MMEing, you can afford to play both sides a little bit. And I'm not going crazy on Junis. I'll take 8% down to like 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, the Yankees do strike out a fair amount, and he's a volatile player who's mostly not great, but yeah, I think there is some logic to playing if you are mass multi during a tournament. John Krolikowski, How Was the Spy Who Dumped Me? It was good. It was a fine movie, a lovely little comedy. Actually, some pretty decent action in it, but I also missed out on a photo with Ashton Kutcher, which hurt my day a little bit. I just walked by him. Should have just stopped him for an Instagram photo real quick, and I didn't do it. So that's my one regret for the evening. But we move forward. We just keep living. Let's see. I guess it's time to do the home run picks. No Chubster pick tonight, I believe, because he's got some personal stuff to attend to. But the baseball savant is here, and he's the one with the hot streak. So who are you going with tonight, Jake? Who is going to hit a home run for us?
I won't pick anyone in Oakland, Texas. That game's just that's been like a cheat code lately.
Not for Mark Canha.
I won't pick Eugenio. That's cheating also. So I'm going to go actually on the other side of that game with Carlos Santana. I think Carlos Santana dogs.
Ooh, okay. So, all right. So that's actually interesting because I do like, again, I said it today, I like the Phillies stack. And now I feel tempted to pull a Josh and go with the same team as you. I don't know. I don't know that I actually fully want to do it. You know what? I'm taking the coward's way out. Go with Matt Olson. Matt Olson for me. I like the matchup versus Cologne, obviously. And Olson grades out particularly well. Yeah, Team McBee, that is exactly how it would have gone. Hey, Ashton, we were talking about your wife in an internet chat room this morning. Can I get a pic? Yes. Hey, Ashton, I masturbated to your wife's stuff magazine photos when I was 17. Can I get a pic? It's the opener. My actual opener was going to be, hey, Ashton, I really love what you're doing in terms of investing and stuff and in the tech world. That was going to be my opener, so I felt pretty confident about it.
Jake Bauer.
Cesar Hernandez.
Ooh.
So yeah, I like the Phillies picks in general. Like Hernandez looks great to me. Oh, there we go. Josh is here.
Nice. Oh, you guys both take players from the highest total game? Get out of here. You picking Coors tomorrow?
I would have no issue picking Coors. I have no issue with Josh's pick. I would have preferred he targeted you in the Phillies, but I guess this means Matt Olson will not hit a home run, and the other Matt will, because that's just how this goes lately.
I think Chris Davis honestly has the best chance of anyone to hit a home run tonight. I would be surprised if Chris Davis didn't homer. He's going to crush Bartolo. It's just a matter of whether you can elevate the ball.
Yeah, I mean, he had 2 home runs yesterday too, right? So I mean, yeah, he's been locked in there.
I prefer him against righties, by far against righties. So.
Yeah, I think Chris Davis is a fine. That middle of the order looks really good, and that's why they're going to be the highest owned guys on the slate. I think that's why you try to go contrarian with your other lineup, your other stack, maybe your pitcher getting off Sonny Gray or something. But like that, the 1 through, I mean, you could really stack them a couple different ways, but like Martini through 6, some mix of that. Magnifique. See any good questions? You can take some either ors now because I feel like we kind of burned through the slate pretty fast. Which pitcher do you feel the worst about? You have a fair amount of.
That I have a fair amount of? Probably Junis. Oh, okay, hold on. Let me go to my exposures here. I have the same amount of Junis and Mats. I'll go. I mean, I don't feel good about Rich Hill. I don't think he should be chalk. So that's the guy I don't feel good about that I think a lot of people will have. I don't have much of him. He's in that Junis, Gibson, Mats area for me. So, yeah, I don't see the matchup for him. I like the Braves stack on the other side.
Yeah, normally, I mean, we've discussed again many times my Dodger love, and Rich Hill, also a guy I usually like more than people do in general in DFS across the industry. But boy, the Braves really grade out well versus him, and in particular, I mean, they're really good versus lefties. They're getting on base 343, ton of isolated power, not striking out, just everything you don't want for Rich Hill, they're doing. So I think the Braves are a pretty good stack, and if nothing else, even if you don't want to stack them, a pretty good reason to avoid Rich Hill. Just a lot of danger there for him in a way I don't like.
Sharks asking how much
0%.
Yes, Sharks asking how much Cahill did I end up with? Exactly 50% Cahill. 50%.
Yeah. I think I also, I mean, I didn't do as many lineups as usual today, but I think I have like also half Cahill. He just works out well, and again, the highest priced pitcher on the slate being under 5% does not happen often. So 50% might be a little strong, but I support it. Jason Leahy, I cannot take advice from someone sitting in their bedroom. Get an office.
This is my
the quality of the advice, not the location.
No, that's fine. Maybe we could talk to the bosses into getting me an office space.
Yeah, let's all get us all office spaces across the country. That's a great way for a growing company to spend their money. Yeah. I would like a loft here in downtown LA with a studio. If we could set that up, Tom and Alex, let's get that going.
They got the capital. It's fine.
Yeah, that's true. Spend more money on us, like we're little sugar babies.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep spending. Let's see. How much Malone is too much Malone?
I mean, he just makes so much sense, right? I like those top 3 Brewers, but he looks good in AAA, and not just like results, as far as like strikeouts and not allowing runs. He's getting swings and misses, which I wasn't used to him doing in the majors. He was pretty bad. It's just, yeah, he just seems like he makes so much sense as a favorite in a big park against a team that is not very good, especially the bottom of that lineup. And maybe the strikeout upside isn't there, but it doesn't really have to be at 4K.
Yeah, I mean, he's so cheap that, I mean, the thing is, like, for me, going to him, I don't think he grades out that well just because, like, I am a little more afraid of his major league numbers. But also, like, what are you paying up for? Honestly, like, why do you need to save the money to go to Malone?
Right.
Like, I don't think you need to. So that's sort of how I feel about him.
That's fair. I'm also leaving a lot of salary on the table on a lot of my lineups. Yeah. So it's just to be different. Like, I think Malone has a good chance to outscore Molly. I think he's got a decent chance to outscore Rich Hill. Anibal, same thing. So yeah, it's just different. I think he's actually a pretty good play, and I would play him if he was 7K in this spot, I think.
Let's see. AO Crypto asking, who would you pick? I think this is one you wanted to get to. Who would you go, Doc Peterson or Cody Bellinger if you were stacking up Dodgers?
That's tough. I think I would go Jock. Yeah, I think I would go Jock.
I would also go Jock just because of his spot in the order and hitting leadoff, but it's pretty close. I mean, their WRC plus is 134 for Jock compared to 132 for Bellinger. The actual isolated power is pretty close. Like, everything's pretty close for them. So I think you're maybe trading off a little more on base percentage for a little more or a little less home run power. But if you want to go for the home run, go for the gusto and go Cody Bellinger. Would be what I would say.
Which game stack do you like? Well, besides the obvious one, the A's and Rangers, I like the Dodgers Braves quite a bit. So that'd probably be my second choice. And well, probably tied for second, Phillies, Reds, and Dodgers Braves. I like both of those spots for. I just like both of those sides. I'm not intentionally game stacking.
Yeah, I'm not game stacking. I mean, I don't really see the point in that necessarily. I mean, there might be some sort of data that I'm just not aware of with that. But I just like, if you are game stacking, I think that Braves-Dodgers game has the best potential of getting a little wild. Two pitchers who aren't that great, especially in their matchups that they're in. And, you know, I could definitely see that one piling up the runs for both sides. So that's a pretty clear one for me. Besides Texas and Oakland, you're right. Let's see. My Dom pick is Mark Reynolds. Sure, why not? How much money is too much money to leave on the table? I guess for this particular slate, I think is a better way to look at it, because in general, the rule of thumb is about $1,000 would be the most you want to. But for this slate, it's kind of weird because of the pitcher pricing. I think you could get up to like $3,500 left on the table and not feel that terrible about it. But Jake, what are you noticing in your lineups?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a way to be different without making bad plays. So like if you're stacking if you're stacking the Rays, all right, you've got a bunch of mid 4K guys, and you want to play Malone, like your other pitcher is probably going to be Hill or Cahill if you're going to pay up, or if you're going to use the whole salary. So just, if you like Molly, just throw Molly in that spot and leave your lineup. That's the way I'd look at it. I'm not forcing in higher priced pitchers just to use up the salary. I think people do that because it's a mental block. Yeah, so you just use your salary to be contrarian. Just leave some on the table, whatever you're comfortable with. If it's 1,000, if it's, I think 2,000 is the most I left on mine. But there are nights where you can legitimately leave 3,000 and 4,000 and have a legitimate team.
Yeah, I think especially the point you made about like dropping down to Malone or something, like, you think that Sonny Gray is going to have a bad day, or you think, you know, the guy's going to be highly owned. Let's say Sharp Cahill is going to be highly owned, and you know there's a decent chance that he could get rocked, and then you go down to like a Malone. Yeah, like leaving that much money on the table seems kind of insane. but it does kind of make sense because if you're basically grading those players against each other. And there's a decent chance that Cahill gets rocked, and maybe a decent chance that Malone has 20 points or something. So,
right.
Yeah, this particular slate, I think it also makes a lot of sense. Brian Dozier or Scooter Gennett for DKGPP?
Brian Dozier or Scooter Gennett? I have more Scooter because I have a lot of Reds, so I don't mind Scooter lefty, and hopefully they can knock him out early and he can face a righty.
I would go Dozier just because I'm a little bit less confident in Ranger Suarez getting knocked around. I think his stuff looked pretty good in the minor leagues.
Okay.
And Dozier, to me, I kind of came off Dozier a little bit after being on him in the beginning of the day. That team total went down, which kind of spooked me off of the stack. But I do think his matchup versus Brian Johnson's pretty good. Johnson's noticeably worse versus righties. Gives up 1.55 walks and hits per innings pitched. Pretty good hard contact, pretty good fly ball rate. And also 1.6 home runs per 9 innings. So there's a lot there to, I think, go to Dozier, so I would go his way. James Lopez, who are the two players you think will hit a home run? We only pick one player here, so don't get greedy. But the picks today are I went Matt Olson, Josh went Matt Chapman, and Jake, the baseball fan, I'll let you give your own pick.
Carlos Santana.
There you go. A little bit of smooth picking by Jake. You probably don't even remember that song, do you, Jake?
Never even heard of it.
Rob Thomas was a popular guy in the late 90s. Did a song with aging guitarist Carlos Santana, who is not the baseball player. But you may recognize him from
I know who
NBA Finals here.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
I know who he is. Yep.
Okay, good. So yeah, Smooth was a fine song. His latest hit, or his last hit rather. A lot of Nats talk.
I like the Nats.
I don't know. You don't Nats today.
You don't like them? Why not?
It's not that I don't like them. It's that I like other teams more. I don't know. The Nats always look good on paper and then don't do as well as you would think they're going to do, at least for me in my experience when I have stacked them. And being in Miami, too, like I'm not crazy about that. I'm sure they can bat around, but I like them more when they're in a hitter's park where they can show off the power that they have. Because they have a lot of guys who can hit home runs, and I just don't see it happening in Miami's park necessarily, especially Straley, who's been a little bit better at home than he is on the road. I don't know, like I didn't feel compelled to go there, but that could easily be very wrong.
Straley gets blasted by lefties, so that's the appeal for me. I don't like that there's no Daniel Murphy, especially when he's starting to heat up. Kind of tilting that he's now going to be out of the lineup for who knows how long. Maybe it's just today. Maybe they're just resting him or whatever, nagging injury. But I think most people will probably think that way too. And I still love Harper and Soto. So I'm in on the Nats stack. It just makes a lot of sense. Eaton off the top. Turner has that stolen base upside. Not that Straley's a great stolen base matchup anyway, but I really like how the Nats stack sets up, especially the top 5.
Like, can we talk about? So I didn't get to watch the video this morning just because I was doing the NFL stuff that we did, which we'll talk about a little later. But you didn't know what combos were? Like, you never had combos?
No. I've never had it, but I recognize I thought he was talking about like a combo like at Portillo's, like the sandwich.
Oh, like a full combo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was like, combos is like cheese and stuff, and I was like, what are you talking about? But then he pulled it up, and I recognized it right off the bat. Like, I see him at gas stations all the time and stuff. I just hadn't put a name to the actual logo.
Yeah, they're not the cultural phenomena they were when I was like a little kid in like the late 80s or early 90s or whatever it was. But they are still everywhere. They're still pretty ubiquitous, so I would have been upset. They're good. They're certainly not good for you in any way, but they're very tasty in terms of powder being shoved into a pretzel, like a pretzel toilet paper roll, basically. They're pretty good. Combos are bad for you. Yep, not surprising at all, Chico.
So is everything. I mean, everything at a gas station is probably not good for you besides maybe like a banana, but even that's got sugar and all that. Everything's bad.
Yeah,
whatever.
It's just getting propane fuels all over it all day. No gas station food.
Just work out and you'll be good, hopefully. Cross your fingers.
What about a national? We just talked about the Nationals, Andrew Barry. They're fine. Jake likes them. I'm not crazy about them.
I like the lefties especially. I will say that. I really like the lefties.
There you go. I learned that comics have real cheese as advertised because I'm lactose intolerant. I'm sure there's like powdered milk in there or something. That doesn't surprise me, but it's still like it's not real like anything. It's just there's probably real dairy, but nothing that good.
Sure.
Pack of Marlboro's best gas station food. Sure.
If that's your style, I suppose.
What percentage of your picks are gut picks versus data/stats?
100% data/stats. I'll never be like I have a good feeling about a guy, because you could do that with other sports, I think, or maybe like use different logic than statistical evidence. Probably in basketball, like if you can get into the mind of a head coach, maybe, or to some extent in hockey. But it's in baseball it is strictly data. I think you get yourself in trouble if you try to feel your picks.
Yeah, I think to me the data, like what I've noticed, I'll fall in love with certain like guys' numbers or certain parts of a stack, but that starts with data. So I mean, I think for me it's like, you know, when we have a guy who's super highly owned or a guy who's projected to be highly owned and I just don't see it, then I don't necessarily go like, oh well, if everybody else is picking him, then I'm wrong. If I see the data the way I see it and it just lays out a certain way for me, then I'm sticking with that. So I guess in that respect, it's a mix of both for me, but still like 99 or 95% data.
That's
who would you pair Cahill with if fading Oakland bats?
If fading Oakland bat, well, I mean, I guess I have to say Malone because he's my second highest owned pitcher besides Cahill. So that's my most common. But if you're fading Oakland, I don't know. It depends where you want to go. Like if you want to go with the Yankees or Red Sox, you're gonna have to get someone like Malone or a Miley. You're not gonna be able to go Cahill and Rich Hill in your lineup. So it just depends. Start with your stack first. That's what I would suggest on this slate overall. Start with your favorite stack first if you're hand building, and then work the pitchers around it. And then, you know, hitting isn't really important tonight. Pitching it's garbage all the way around.
Yeah, and pitchers too have such a wide variety of outcomes. I mean, we've seen so many times guys who look terrible or who were graded out terrible, even have a bad Vegas total, who outperform their lot, because that's what pitchers do. Hitters kind of hit what they do, and they just get what they get, and it eventually evens out. And that's why too, like Shark points out, Josh was feeling Goldschmidt about a month before he tore it up. That's probably because the numbers bore out, and it finally kind of caught up where he, like, you know, even if he's doing great and the numbers look good, he could have a 400% or 400 on base percentage and still be not getting on base, you know, 60% of the time. So eventually that does level out, and that's sort of where you trust the data and keep sticking with it and hoping it turns around.
Yeah, we were both talking about Goldschmidt. We recommended him for like 2 weeks straight, and he kept lining out until those lineouts are going to turn into something good at some point if you continue to do it. Just the law of averages.
Viraj asking, are there any books you guys have read that you recommend to become better at decision making and how to rationalize the contrarian bets? Anything you've read, Jake, that you're super into?
That sounds like the title of a book or the subtitle, honestly, the way he worded it. So, I haven't read anything. It's a lot trying to learn from other DFS players and players that have been successful doing this. You can read Jonathan Bales. He does books for various sports. He has one for baseball that I read last year. So I guess I have read those. He's got one for football too, if you're interested in that. Have you read that, Chris?
No, I haven't, but actually I've heard a lot of positive things about it. And Bales is a guy who I've known and done some podcasts with before. He's a really good guy and he's very smart, and I've heard a lot of positive things about his baseball book. And I think, like Jake said, a lot of the DFS pros, including our own Osmo and also our own Tom and Eddie as well, you know, you just kind of learn a lot by doing it and seeing what they do and how they approach things. And I think that's sort of the way to look at it. I think it's just an approach to think differently and to try to find little advantages that people aren't getting, like, you know, like people who don't stack guys who aren't getting run totals over 5. I think the actual threshold, according to Fantasy Labs, for like people performing better is if the Vegas total is 4.7 and up, but a lot of people just don't look at those lineups. So, I mean, that's sort of the approach to game theory, is finding little slivers of advantage and trying to make them bigger.
Agreed. I'm trying to look up the name of the book. I don't want to leave this guy hanging or girl. Was it? Do you know what it's called?
What was that?
Do you know what it's called? I can just.
I feel like it's got like a library book title, like baseball, winning and learning. I don't remember it offhand, but I just remember thinking that about it.
Fantasy baseball for smart people. You can get it. I just read it on a flight. Actually, my senior spring break in college. I read it on the way there and back. It's super quick, easy read. It's it's funny. Got a lot of good information and data that is important if you want to learn how to start to be good at MLB DFS.
Honestly, one thing I've been doing a little more lately, which has been sort of paying off for how I view the field, if you're a premium member of Awesemo.com, sort the ownership projections by team and look at the stacks like that. Because I think to me it's helped jump out a little more the stacks that I feel like, why is this not getting anything at all? Like tonight, like Atlanta's not getting anything. Mm-hmm. And because I think Rich Hill's not a fantastic play, and there were some really powerful lefties and righties who might be good against him, like I think that sort of that jumped out to me in a way where it wouldn't have otherwise if I were just kind of going through and seeing them all player by player. So I think that's one thing I would do if you're trying to get a little better and trying to get a little more advanced in game theory. Thoughts on Rodriguez? We didn't talk a lot about Derek Rodriguez tonight. How do you feel about him?
He's fine. I honestly don't have much of an opinion on most of these guys besides Cahill and Malone and Miley to some extent, but it's just he's in a good park. Brewers do have some strikeouts, and Rodriguez is at least okay against righties. Lefties, kind of a different story. He's had some issues. So I'm a bit worried about Rodriguez becoming chalky just because of the park. I still think the Brewers can touch him up in this park.
Yeah, I agree with that. We talked about it a little earlier. The lefty bats in particular is like a spot to go against for him in particular with Rodriguez. He's been hit hard a lot, and lefties in particular, I keep saying in particular, lefties especially have been hitting him extra hard, so I think that's a spot to attack. What are your thoughts about a Marlins mini stack? Do you want to talk about that again?
I like the top three, especially Brian Anderson. But Real Muto, Anderson, and Castro, I think are fine plays against the lefty. I've sung the praises of Malone. Not that he's a great pitcher, but I think he's a pretty good play tonight. But that doesn't mean I won't have some Miami bats on the other side. I'm actually editing a lineup right now with the Miami mini stack as I speak. Yeah,
same thing for me. The top three there falls off a cliff a little bit after him, but if you really wanted to stretch it, I think you could maybe go with Bohr and Prado. But I think for me the top three are the ones that really jump out. Malone in his major league stints has been really, really bad versus righties, and a little more competent versus lefties. So, but he's been good in the minor leagues, so we'll see how that actually pays off. I'm actually curious to see how that turns out. Not that that's like proof of anything, but like if a guy goes down to the minors and really refines his stuff, can he come up and all of a sudden be much better than his actual performance was in the majors? I don't know. I'm curious to find out.
It happens quite a bit. You see guys get sent down to the minors for even a couple of years, and they come back, and the reason they get back up into the majors is because they're doing something well, or they've made an adjustment, and they come up and they're a different pitcher. I'm trying to think of an example right now, if there's any on this slate. Cahill was kind of like that a couple of years ago. He was people targeting against him all the time. Maybe it was as early as last year, and he made some adjustments, and now all of a sudden he has one of the highest swinging strike rates.
Yeah, and he improved a lot since he got back from his injury as well. At least the limited sample size we've seen so far. So, yeah, I think there's some stuff to like there for him, and that makes sense. Who's your top shortstop of the thing?
I really like Machado.
I also like Machado. Camargo, it jumped out to me a little bit as part of, if you are going against Rich Hill, Camargo's pretty nasty versus lefties.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually. I like Camargo. My highest are Machado, Turner, and Bogarts.
Yeah, I think for me it's Machado.
What's Miley, 63 over there? Is that right? Okay. Not that you're really going to need it, but I think I do prefer Miley a little bit.
Who are your World Series picks? To be honest, I don't even know the standings right now. I just look at the spreadsheets that I have, which do not include wins. But who are your picks right now, Jake?
Cubs versus Twins. No, I'm kidding. It's going to be, man, probably the Astros and I don't even know, man. Someone from the National League. Who's good?
Dodgers.
The Cubs are good.
Phillies also kind of hot.
Let's go Cubs Astros.
I would go with what a game MLB would probably nut themselves over. Dodgers Yankees would be my pick.
Oh, Dodgers. Yeah, that's a good pick. That's a hell of a pick. I think
they're just so deep and flexible with their lineups.
I think the Nats are actually a pretty good dark horse. Like, they could get really hot, and they've got the staff to do it if they go in with Scherzer, Strasburg healthy.
Who do you guys think is the most handsome player in the league right now? For me, that would be Nolan Arenado, because somebody in the live stream compared me to him once, and I'm going to stick with that.
There's definite resemblances between you and Nolan Arenado.
I'll take that. I'll take that any day. Great power.
Best looking player. Bryce is pretty good looking. I'm trying to think who
good
else. Hair. Very good hair. Man, I don't even know. I can't picture some of these guys' faces. That's how little I watch.
Yeah, I know it's not Mike Trout. I do know his face now, and it's not beautiful. But
hey.
Harper's not bad, though. Harper's pretty sexy.
Harper's pretty sexy. Well, Eugenio, he's pretty sexy. When he's hitting home runs for me, man, very good looking.
I can tell you it's not. The best baseball player in the world, Max Muncy. Not the sexiest dude.
Come on.
Great hitter, but not much of a looker. Did you read Moneyball? Like that, the first book that came out?
What's that?
Did you ever read Moneyball, like the original book?
No.
So in there they describe like one of Billy Bean like catcher prospects or whatever, and he like basically described like a husky fat guy, and that to me is like how I forget who the player was. It was like catcher who never made up, and I feel like that's I think of Max Muncy, just like a little fire hydrant in the fat face.
Giancarlo, I think that's the pick. We got to just stop picking only white guys, you know.
True.
Giancarlo is he. Have you ever seen him like in a tank or like shirt off? He looks like a statue. He legitimately looks like he is sculpted from an artist.
Tyler O'Neill, also a dream.
Oh, of course. Yeah. How can we forget?
God, I miss him. I miss him being in that lineup. Sexy Muscles needs to get his ass back up with me.
Yes, Matt won Millie. We both like Camargo.
Yep. Yeah, I agree there. Ronald Coley just jumping in now. What do you guys think of the Red Sox? We didn't talk much about them today, but what do you think of the Sox?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. They're kind of going under the radar, as weird as that is. I think the Yankees and the A's and the Rangers to some extent are getting a lot of steam. And wait, is there weather concerns now in Boston? No way.
Not again.
Come on. There's no way. Not this late. Someone in chat would have said something. But yeah, I like.
It's red on Fantasy Labs, actually.
I know. That's what I'm confused about. Whatever. It's too late to take them out now. I have a ton of Red Sox against Gibson, and that should tell you something because I love Gibson. But this is not the spot for him. Well overweight on the Red Sox, well underweight. Or actually, I have some Gibson, so I'm probably overweight, but very, very little. So yeah, I love the Red Sox.
Aaron Hopkins, Verlander does not have the hottest wife, to be clear. That is, I mean, she's very attractive, but there's a lot of attractive women who are MLB wives. She's just the most famous, who is famous for being hot.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, a wise person once told me.
Fair. I mean, beauty is in the eyes of Kate Upton's enormous breasts as well. So I think there's different approaches to that statement.
Interesting.
Favorite catcher on BK? Who would you go?
I like Kurt Suzuki a ton. I love Suzuki against lefties. Yasmani Grandal too.
free gay. It's not gay stuff. Men can talk about other men without it being weird. Don't be the uncomfortable guy who can't just have fun joking about stuff. It's not that deep.
I don't care. You can call me whatever you want.
Like it's just silly. Like men should compliment men more. Girls always compliment girls and they talk shit like behind each other's backs. But guys should be like, hey, yeah, people complimented Jake's hair. That's very nice. That's like a lovely thing
nice.
to do.
Yeah.
Makes you feel good. Don't be a little pussy about it. Red Sox weather is completely fine. All right. Hey, all right. Sure.
Fantasy football advice got us covered there. Someone said they were in Boston. Vibe said weather's fine in Boston. Oh god.
Oh wait, so yeah, favorite catcher. I don't think we actually answered that.
No, I said Grandal and Suzuki.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, my bad. So I just blew over that. Yeah, Suzuki for me too, and Grandal as well. Actually, yes, I agree. I like Real Muto too, but I also think that Garver I didn't mind as well. If you're stacking up a couple twins, that's about it for me. All right, now we're just doing weird stuff. What are the chances the A's fall flat tonight?
I don't think very good. I am eating the chalk on the A's and hoping the optimizer came up with some low-owned stacks. And I've seen most of my lineups, so I know low-owned stacks with them or lower-owned, like the Tampas and the Nationals and the Dodgers to pair with them.
Yeah, I mean, some of the home run rates on that side, especially for Davis and Olsen, seem hard to avoid. And just like a lot of good on-base percentage. And again, Nick Martini doing a good job as well in the leadoff spot. So yeah, I think it's a hard one to fade, and that's why we have 2 home run picks there. Let's see. Oh boy. People still debating. Handsome pitchers, a controversial topic, or players, a controversial topic in the chat.
Brian Anderson or Chris Davis? Ooh, I think Chris Davis is going to hit a home run, so I would have to say Davis, although I do like Anderson as a GPP play. But yeah, it's Davis there.
I would agree with that. Davis is the pick, but Anderson also a perfectly fine pick. And dual position eligibility, a nice little benefit when you need some flexibility to move things around and maybe try to find some contrarian lineups. Who's the worst A to own? That's an interesting question.
Let me see. Probably Lucroy, but
yes,
he's pretty cheap. Yeah. Manny will like that one. So Lucroy will dong, I'm sure. It's Lucroy though.
It's Lucroy, but from an actual game theory perspective, I think it's Simeon. He just grades out the worst out of those guys, and a lot of people will go 1 through 5. And I think if you skip him and go down to Piscotty or Chapman, I think you're in a better spot. So I'm going to go overall as Lucroy, but I think from a management perspective, I would go Simeon. I would rather go other spots on that lineup.
Yep.
Wendell with a Rays stack or Caesar with a Philly stack? Which should you go with?
Wendell with the Rays stack.
I would go Cesar with a Philly stack. I like Cesar. Hitting lead off too. I'm in on that.
Cleanest room. I don't know. I think I need to clean some of this up.
Is that disorganized for you over there with everything neatly hanging?
Yeah, I gotta take that down at some point. You guys are gonna be asking where I get in my clothes.
Got 1 minute left to lock, guys. So get your stuff in. So 4-3 isn't good. 4-3-1 is fine, but 4-3-1.
Yeah, I do a lot of 4-3-1s actually. Everyone's running 5-man stacks. Everyone is. So it's just a way to get a little different. But I do a mixture of everything. I have some 5-2-1s, some 5-3s, some 4-3s, or some 4-4s. I get a mixture of everything.
I think a mix is good, but the 5-man stacks though do tend to be, I think data-wise over time, tend to be the most plus EV just because you're capitalizing the most on it. So like the most you can stack is the best move. But yeah, if you like teams and you want to get different, 4-3-1 is fine. It's just I think the lesser ideal one out of overalls. Good luck, gentlemen, and you too, Chris.
Underground dungeon shark. Can't get out of here.
All right, so that's it. We're locked. I feel like that's enough for the day. Let's once again make sure to go check out the NFL videos that we did. Josh and I did a preview of the running back class that's coming up this year. A lot of data in there, a lot of good information. So it's on the YouTube channel. There's also an article on the homepage of Awesemo.com. Go check that out. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes. You'll get the night shift there. You'll also get it on YouTube again, but iTunes is where we'd prefer you to get it if you can. So go subscribe to that. Search Awesemo on your iTunes account or any podcast app, and you will find it. If you're not a premium member of Awesemo.com, do that. Go sign up, get all the ownership projections and rankings. Email me if you want to be a social media manager, community manager for Awesemo.com. And if you want to give us testimonials about your success that you've had for the site, we really need those. Just a quick, short video is what it'll be. Email me if you're interested, Chris@Awesemo.com, and we'll cast you without a casting couch, preferably, I think is the goal. Yeah. Any parting words, Jake?
No, Cesar Becerra, first time tuning in, good stuff. Hope to see you back. Tell your friends that play DFS about us or that just want to talk about guys or whatever we do in this chat. Good luck. Night Shift will be out on YouTube, but check it out on iTunes first if you can. But yeah, it'll be on YouTube tonight in about an hour, actually.
There you go. So we'll leave Jake to go do that. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow, actually, with Awesemo. Awesemo will be on in the Friday spot at 6:15 Eastern. So go join us then. Jake will be in the chat, maybe giving his home run genius to us. So Friday shows get weird, so we'll have fun. But thank you guys for watching. See you soon.